All right, so the question here is from Captain Noical. Noical. Okay. Oh man. All right, so thanks for the great video. I was very excited for this one. I'm not sure what video it was. The camera setup was absolutely perfect. I was wondering if you can do a worth it video on a really high grits, like Shapton 30,000 or something. Is there a noticeable difference in sharpness? Anyways, thanks. Have a great day. Okay, so basically this is asking about very high grit whetstones. For your kitchen knives, I have found that over 12, realistically speaking, over 10,000, I have not really felt a difference on. On a Yanagiba, on a sushi grade knife, I think I can feel a difference up to 12,000 grit. And that is like, that is like really, really high. So for chef knives at home, I think 6,000 to 8,000 grit is really the max that you can generally feel. And on a super high quality knife, you're looking at like a $300-400 knife. That's my wife. She's going to pick up our daughter from preschool. On a knife such as a $500 Yanagiba or even $1,000 Yanagiba, then you might be able to tell a difference on a 12,000 grit stone, or maybe even higher. But you have to be really trained, and you have to be cutting things like very expensive fish that cannot be bruised. So yes, there is a difference at the absolute level. But 99% of us who are watching this video, watching my channel, probably will not be using knives of that caliber. Or I should say 99%. Half of my subscribers are actually chefs, so I can't say that. Sorry guys, didn't mean to insult anybody. But yeah, for most of us who are home cooks, myself included, we are much better served buying a good quality 5,000, 6,000, and maybe an 8,000 grit stone for polishing your knives with. But for someone who is not going to be making a living off of their knives, sushi chefs in particular, a 30,000 grit stone is not going to help you at all. However, there is something to be said for high grades or super high grit stones. If you are shaving with straight razors, I have noticed with 30,000 grit, the shaving is definitely cleaner with a 30,000 grit stone than on something like a 12,000 grit stone. So for straight razors, I definitely say that higher grit stones can make a difference, and they do make a difference. But for knives, kitchen knives, especially for home cooks, no. I think 8,000 grit is what you should cap off your spending at. Okay, so the next question we have here is from Frederick Staena. Oh man. Okay, could you do a quick guide for sharpening stones, grits? Okay, so grits is something I get. This question here I get probably every single day, and it's basically about grit levels and where they sit, what stones are what, and what grits are what. And this is debatable depending on who you talk to, but let me just break it down how I understand grits and how I use grits. You have your fixing stones, you have your sharpening stones, and then you have your polishing stones. And then within each of those categories, you have your low, medium, fine, low, medium, fine, low, medium, fine. So essentially you have 9 ranges of stones to look into. But instead of getting really confusing, let me talk about the fixing grits. The fixing grit is your 120 grits up to your 400 grit stones. So anything within that category, I generally only reserve for fixing chips, really dull knives, and rebeveling knives. Okay, so the lower the grit, the harsher the work that they can handle, and the higher the grit, the less they can handle. Okay, then you have your sharpening stones. So anything in the 500 grit up to 2,000 grit, I would say, is considered a sharpening stone in my book. So a 500 grit is a very coarse sharpening stone, and a 2,000 grit stone is a very fine sharpening stone. But again, still considered a sharpening stone. And the range is exactly the same as your fixing stones. The lower the grits, such as the 500, will take off a lot more material faster than a 2,000 grit stone would. And then your polishing is probably the most confusing for most people, because you have now a huge range of stones. You have 3,000 grit, and 3,000 grit, depending on who you talk to, can also be considered a sharpening stone, a very fine sharpening stone. Again, I don't want to confuse you with this, so I'm going to keep it at 3,000 grit is when you're entering your polishing stone. So 3,000 grit all the way up to 30,000 grit is what you would find most whetstones at. Realistically speaking though, 3,000, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 is most of the polishing stones that you'll find. 3,000 in the Chaucera, but most polishing stones, most brands, will sell you a 5,000 or 6,000 grit polishing stone, and some brands will sell you an 8,000 grit polishing stone as well. Generally speaking though, you're only going to see 5,000 and 6,000 as a polishing stone. Most companies aren't big enough, and they're not going to be trying to sell you, most Japanese companies are not going to try to sell you 5 different polishing stones unless you are a Shapton. Unless you're a Shapton wants to sell you 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000, and 16,000. So they want to sell you every single grit from 3,000 all the way up to 16,000, even 30,000. Most companies don't have that that sort of resource to actually sell you that many stones or make that many stones. So most companies will just sell you a 1,000 and 6,000 or 1,000 and 5,000. Like I said, it's as confusing as can be. I can spend an entire hour just discussing grit levels from different manufacturers. All of it really doesn't matter because every single manufacturer have their own grit rating. So just because you buy a 1,000 grit stone from Naniwa, it does not mean that you will have the same equivalent 1,000 grit stone on a Suihiro. So that's the big kicker in this whole thing, is it doesn't really matter. They're all going to be within 20%, 10-20% of each other in terms of their overall finish for you or their overall grit rating, but you cannot always trust manufacturer grit rating. The perfect example is the Naniwa Superstones. They are probably the most deceptive, and I don't think they're trying to be deceptive, but they are very deceptive. And basically, a King 1000 is, to me, probably one of the truest 1000 grit stone out there. Very clean, very matte finish, very fast cutting, overall a really good stone. The Naniwa Superstone 1000 gives you a polish of what you would find on a 3,000 to 4,000 grit stone on most other brands. And so it is very confusing to use. It's a very slow cutting stone, so I really feel like Naniwa really should either take away the Superstone brand sub category altogether, or really redo their grit ratings, because it's very hard to actually keep up with that company or with that line of stones from Naniwa. The Naniwa Chosera is maybe higher than rating by about 10%, so they're actually not too bad. The Suihiro Serax is definitely on par with what their rating system, what they claim. Hopefully that answers your question, Frederick. Thank you for the question. So the next question we have here is from Oknid, or OKNid. Oknid. I was thinking of pairing the $70 DIY sharpening plates with the Kuma knife. Any thoughts about that? Yes. Don't do it. I'm sorry. Look, guys, as much as I want you guys to buy stuff that I make, from this user alone, a Kuma knife is 20 bucks. It makes 0 sense for you to go out and buy a $70 sharpening stone on a $20 knife. Unless you do plan on buying higher quality knives in the future, then yes, certainly go out and buy good quality stones, whether they're my plates or anything else. A Chosera stone or a Serax stone or even a Suihiro Debato stone. Yeah, go out and buy it if you do plan on buying better knives. But if you're not going to buy anything better than a $20 Kuma, pick up a brick and sharpen your knives that way, or go to the sidewalk. The most I would spend on a $20 knife is a $20 stone. It makes 0 sense to me as a consumer to spend more money on your stone than you would on your knife. It really should be the other way around. Buy the best knife you can and buy the cheapest stone you can to actually get that knife sharp. So everyone's philosophy is different. You're asking my personal opinion. My personal opinion is you should spend your money on your knives, and stones are secondary. Some people will say that that's complete idiocy, but that's my feelings about it, because you're going to be using your knives all of the time. I mean, you're using your knives every single day. Your stones, if you were like me, you might sharpen your knives every 3 to 4 days, or once a week. And for most people, they sharpen their knives once a month, if they're lucky, if the knives are lucky. That's my personal opinion. You certainly can go out and buy my plates if you want to, but save your money and buy a $20 Whetstone, and spend your money on your knives. I will say that if you want to have a razor sharp knife every single day, you're better off getting a strop.
Really quick shop update here. So I have these straps here. I have about a half a dozen of each available. I'm labeling these as demo straps, but they're technically not demo straps. They're pretty much brand new. They are hand sanded versus being chamfered, so all the corners are not quite as finished as my other production plates are. So these are just test units, and basically we're just testing how the finish is on these things. And so overall they are finished. There's no sharp edges anywhere. Nothing will cut you, nothing will harm you. But just I'm not quite satisfied with how they turned out in terms of the chamfering of the corners and of the edges. Yeah, so I have about 6 of each straps available for grabs. They're up for $35 for the Latigo and $37 for the Buffalo. Both great straps. I mean, they work really well, and I will post a link in the video description to them, to my Etsy store. You guys can just check it out there. Alright guys, well that'll be it for this video. Thank you for being here, and good luck on the Not Curie giveaway. And for my subscribers who actually use Reddit, is it worth my time to hop on Reddit? I mean, I have so little time as it is. I don't think I can hop on another platform. I'm doing poorly as it is on Instagram and on Facebook, and trying to keep up with YouTube by itself is enough.